I'm sure you've all heard of the term cloud computing. But have you ever asked yourself exactly what does that mean? When people use the term cloud computing, obviously they're not referring to any clouds in the sky. What they are referring to is how products and services are delivered over the internet. Whether you are aware or not, most people use cloud service offerings every single day. If you are unsure if you use any cloud services, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, how many subscriptions are you paying for each month? Applications like Netflix, Dropbox, Apple Music, or Office 365 are all cloud-based in 2023. So, like I mentioned before, most of us use the cloud every day. Have you ever asked yourself, how are these applications made? Some of our favorite applications were developed in the cloud. Developers and engineers use cloud service providers like AWS, Azure, Alibaba Cloud, and Google Cloud Platform to create applications for our entertainment, our well-being, as well as for making our lives a lot easier. Now, don't worry if you have never heard the names of some of these companies before. Most people haven't. The common end user has no need for this information. All the average person really cares about is how fast they can log on to their social media app of choice and how many likes or mentions did they get. They could care less about what's going on in the background of each new technological advancement. But you're not most people, are you? You see, you're here today watching this video because although you may not fully comprehend what the cloud is, you know it must be powerful. If I were to sum it up in the simplest way, cloud computing is just renting someone else's computing resources. Instead of building a massive data center to host servers and storage space, companies would rather rent them from cloud service providers, and they sell you bits and pieces in the form of a subscription. To understand this business model, look at a company like the McDonald's Corporation. I bet your whole life you grew up thinking McDonald's was a restaurant. Well, you are sadly mistaken. McDonald's looks like a fast food franchise, but in all actuality it's one of the largest real estate companies in the world. Every person that buys a McDonald's franchise only buys the right to sell Big Macs and Quarter Pounders. The McDonald's Corporation owns the property that the franchise operates out of and rents the building to the franchise owner at a 20-year lease. Not only does the owner have to pay them rent for the building, but also McDonald's takes a percentage of their gross food sales. Now you might be asking yourself, Uncle Trey, what does this have to do with cloud computing? Well, allow me to explain. As we just learned in the previous business model, you can safely make the argument that cloud service providers are also in the real estate business, except their real estate is both physical and digital. Cloud service providers make their money by renting computing resources to their customers. If you are a large company like Netflix or HBO Max and you want to store all your movies in the cloud so people all over the world can access them, then you will need to rent storage space, web servers, and bandwidth from a cloud service provider. So, you might be thinking, why doesn't the company just do it themselves? Why doesn't the company just build their own data center? Well, most of them have owned and operated their own data center in the past. But what the companies found out over time is that there were many problems that came with running your own data center. For the sake of time and simplicity, we will just go over the 3 major problems with owning your own data center. Problem number 1, cost. According to DGTLinfra.com, the cost of building a data center would cost anywhere from $400 to $770 million. Why so expensive, you might ask? You must purchase land, building materials, and construction costs. Once the building is erected, then you have to install a high-end electrical system to make sure that you maintain a temperature-controlled environment to prevent damage to your servers and storage devices. The building must be built with special ventilation systems to ensure that the excess heat from the systems is properly routed outside of the building. You also will need to purchase plenty of backup generators in case of a power outage. If a company loses power, not only can that lead to a loss of new customers at a financial rate of about $9,000 per minute, but also a lack of credibility and trust among current customers. Problem number 2, scalability. Scalability means the capacity to change in size by adding or removing resources as needed. Say you build a giant data center that costs you $250 million. You have a popular e-commerce website that sells products across the entire nation. There are a few times a year that you receive lots of traffic. Those times normally coincide with major holidays like Valentine's and Mother's Day, Black Friday and Christmas. For there are many months during the year when you receive minimal to moderate traffic. In those times your data center is only operating between 40 to 60% capacity. So, what that means is that for the large part of the year you have many underutilized resources just sitting around collecting dust. And you are still being charged for the electricity and maintenance cost associated with those items. In the end, it would be much cheaper just to rent the resources that you need at any given time and plan for the uptick around peak. And finally, the third and final problem or major consideration to factor in is disaster recovery. Disaster recovery refers to the process of restoring and recovering IT systems and data in the event of a disaster, such as a natural disaster like tornadoes, hurricanes and earthquakes, cyber attack, or hardware failure. Disaster recovery in the cloud involves using cloud computing resources, such as virtual servers, storage, and networking, to recover and restore IT systems and data in a timely manner. If a disaster, companies will need to move quickly to recover any data lost and return it as soon as possible. Imagine if Facebook lost all its data. Back in the day, family and friend kept all their photos in a scrapbook. But in this generation, we keep most of our most precious life moments on our favorite social media apps. We expect those memories to always be there when we need them. Therefore, data recovery is important. And this is why most companies would rather outsource this responsibility than bear the burden all by themselves. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. If you've learned anything today or feel like you would like to support the channel, please like the video, subscribe and share us on your social media channels. Until next time. Peace y'all.